Welcome to Point to Rise, your podcast that gives you permission to dream big, take messy action, and turn your talent into profit while turning your back on perfection. My name is Susanne, high performance and mindset coach, former international ballerina, profitable entrepreneur, and founder of Point to Rise, a movement designed to empower dancers. It is my mission to use my own story as an inspiration for today's generation of dancers. And now sit back, stretch, warm up, or sip your coffee and love learning how much it matters to point at yourself first to rise to all that you are capable of. And we're back. Good morning, my love. We've been chatting as always for like 13 minutes already, so nothing new here for us. We're just gotta go through our spiel. So how was your last week, my love?
Beautiful. And thanks to you for extra inspiration for having me sign up for the Tony Robbins Masterclass, and Dean Graziosi as well. So that's really helped me make another shift and take the next level of where I feel like I'm meant to serve and how I'm meant to show up, because that's definitely evolving right now and definitely changing. And this is like an answer from the universe for a lot of things that I've had in the last few weeks. So it like all is packaged up in a beautiful way, and I'm really, really excited. So what I feel like has been in my heart is actually going to be able to be out in the world a heck of a lot sooner than I even imagined. So I'm excited. Yeah.
Get in the rooms. Okay, I have a question for you here. So I realized that I never signed up for these free events with those two because I never felt good enough. Okay. I thought that they were too much for me and I can't like this, I can't afford this. And look who I'm learning from. I'm holy shit balls. And this was the first time that I actually was able to say, he was like right here in my office, like how can it can't get any better. Did you experience something like that before? And I'm bringing this up because I sent this email to many people and said, hey, this is free. You could learn or even just to be inspired. And so many people said, oh no, this is not for me. So enlighten me.
Yes.
Help me understand.
So personally, the last 4 years, I've been an information junkie. And what I had to learn about myself is I love master classes. I love books. Like not fiction books. I love personal development, self-help, all the things to, expand yourself. But I'm also really good at compartmentalizing what I feel like is out of my capabilities. So I'm also really great about going to those things and attending them or picking up the book and getting super excited. And then their level of magnitude makes me say, well, I'm looking at their 50th step, not my first one, and relating their first one to my first one. And I'm saying, well, that's great for them. I couldn't imagine that version of myself in them while I was listening to them. So there was still a great divide. So it's really only been recently that I've been able to take this in. Well, for instance, this last week, I was able to take the information in and go, yes, I've already worked through that. Yes, I've already like embodied that. Yes, I've already overcome that hurdle. And I said to my husband this weekend, I'm really excited because I feel like the last 3 years I've worked at some of the things that they brought up and worked through has led me to what I'm like really, really deeply supposed to be doing. So I would say this is probably the first major, no, I wouldn't say probably. This is the first major masterclass of that kind of magnitude that I took and embodied and went, yes, I'm ready. Like I'm ready to take this and like really like run with this.
And may I also remark that old Christy would have not said, okay, who do I need to hire to make this a possibility? Because, our mindset was more, I have to do all of this so I can be in control. So that's huge. and I just recently gone through that too, where the friction is so big that that was actually what held me back because I believed I have to do all of this myself. It's like, dude, no, you don't. Absolutely not. So I feel that really like lifts such a big weight, and the the permission to, hey, it yet though takes a different version of ourselves.
Oh, yes,
Oh,
completely different. I
you're
could if
looking
I
at me.
took yeah, if I took this master class even a year ago, I can tell you with assurance I would not have enrolled in the
Mm,
program. Um,
mm,
I would have taken the 5 days and gone, that sounds nice. I understand it. I see it, but I don't
mm.
know. I don't know if this is for me. I should just keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's okay too,
Yeah, yeah.
because every step goes, or every time you put yourself into a room that you're not quite yet comfortable in,
Yeah.
and by the way, if you're comfortable in a room, it's not your room,
Mhm,
um, you will grow.
mhm.
It's simply as that. Like
Mhm.
every time I felt nauseous to my bones, I got out of that room feeling like I could fly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
It feels now right now it feels like those it feels like a as cliche as this might sound, it feels like a gift from the universe. It feels like the 10 questions I had of like, okay, what are these next steps? How do I go about that? Are all just like wrapped in because I just said, when you brought it up, and even when I looked at the ad, I was like, I don't know if this is really what it is, but like, or for me or whatever. But I was like, well, you don't really know, and it's freaking free. So, and you sit at home in front of your computer, so just sit there. And if after day one it's not for you, then go. If it doesn't resonate, go. Like, but you don't know if you don't do it. So, yeah.
yes, exactly. And you know what? Another point is, I didn't think I attend these because I felt like I was afraid to being sold to.
Okay.
Like there was that friction of, okay, they're not putting on an event because there's nothing at the end that I'm going to be sold to.
Hmm.
And when I switched my relationship to what selling actually means to me right now, which is such a beautiful segue in our
Yeah.
conversation, I have a story to share though. Um, that's where I was able to look at these free master classes from a completely different perspective. Like they're gifts.
Yeah.
And yes, why wouldn't I invest? Because it's
Yeah.
not so much investing in them, it's I'm investing in myself,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that's the perspective switch.
Yeah.
Well, I'm
Well,
glad you did.
yeah, and before we go into that topic that's you just literally seamlessly sealed, I want to know about your week.
Oh, yeah. Wow. So I have every Wednesday morning, I have a call with my beautiful two women that are helping me to implement, to get out what's in here onto paper. How are we going to make it reality for Rice Media? And which, by the way, dun dun dun, the name has been approved by BC government, and we are now officially reimagine sustainable entertainment on
Yeah.
paper.
Oh my
Yes, I
gosh,
know.
congratulations.
And I also opened a bank account. I'm just making room, you know?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So, and I was asked the question, okay, so what does your day to how would you like your day to day look like? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Right. I get to make that choice. I can imagine how I would like this company to look like, how I would like this company to serve. How can I serve? And that just made me really uncomfortable because I was right away judging myself. I should be running all of these things. But then I'm recreating what I have lived 4 times over. And the reason why I'm really wanting to create something different because I want to live a different life and I want to give other people the permission and the opportunity to get out of the freaking hustle and just, you know, have fun again. So that was really interesting for me to come in. And then on Saturday, we sat down, my husband and I. It's like, okay, let's just let's just write it down. How much money a month is our bare minimum for us to live in LA? Because I
Mhm.
am leaving in a couple days to go on a podcast tour to see you, my love. I'm so excited. Um, and to do other things as well. And I'll be in LA in July. And I was like, well, what about me not coming back, but you guys coming here? And yeah, I have to figure things out prior. So how much is our minimum net, basically? And that number was freaking frightening for me. And I thought I can deal with like, 5 figures a month, mid 5 figures a month. And I didn't. I thought to live comfortably in a house that I really enjoy, where we can be the higher version of ourselves, um, it's going to take money. And I was judging myself, but that wasn't my story. It was my mother's story and my sister's story. And that
Mhm.
right away got me into like, I hit my upper limit. I was like defeated to the bones. I was like, never gonna happen. There's never, no way that we're gonna make that much money ever. And I'm like, oh wow, whose story is that? So that was really interesting for me to see to come in so quickly. And then
Mhm.
it took actually quite a little bit of time for me to rewrite and to get rid of that gut wrenching feeling of you never going to get there. It's like, okay, well, that's some work to do, and that's okay. At least I was able to look at it and to realize it and to, somewhat rewrite it. Definitely something I'm going to dive a little deeper into because it's coming from somewhere. And that's somewhere I'm choosing to melt that away because it's something that can hold you back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say that's what my week was like. Yeah. Besides writing a lot of content that I really don't like doing.
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
Oh gosh, please do.
How do you feel now every time another thing comes up? How do you feel what does navigating through that look like for you now versus maybe a year ago? Is
Oh,
it
it's much
easier? Is
quicker.
it okay, yeah.
So, and it's not only quicker, but I'm also, and easier, I'm looking at it from a completely different perspective.
Mhm.
Meaning, instead of like, oh, yet another thing that you haven't dealt with and judging myself around it, I am actually like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for showing me this because I didn't know yet that
Mm.
that still is in there.
Mhm.
And it's almost like a celebration. It's like, I am so freaking proud of myself for actually being able to unearth that so I can let go of it.
Yeah.
And that is a huge difference for
Yeah.
me personally. And I'm
Yeah.
sure it's for you too. Like it's,
Mhm.
mhm,
Mhm. For
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Yay! So many good things.
yeah, huge things. Yeah, huge. I just, you know what it is, Christy? The I read The Big Leap this morning, and how the universe, and we will get to the topic today, how the universe sometimes guides you to read what you need to read. Um, it was written there. The reason why we don't let our light shine as bright as we're meant to is because we don't want to outshine others.
Yeah.
And I realized that in school, my roommate, she was very overbearing in her energy. And I was the perfect, person to just dim down enough so she could shine.
Mhm.
And every time I would get acclamations and successes, I
Mhm.
did not take them in.
Mhm.
to the amount that I could have. I almost felt bad because I had to deal with her reaction after.
Mhm.
And that really came through this morning. I was like, oh my gosh, seriously, 8 years of trying to please somebody that you didn't want to deal with her disappointment? This is why now in your 40s, you still think you shouldn't be? Holy moly.
It's
Um,
that awareness. We walk around with so much that we're totally unaware of.
no clue,
Yeah.
no clue until you get prompted,
Yeah.
honestly. So this is my pledge, our pledge, one more time to you. Gosh, just start, just
Yeah.
do the work because it's not gonna end. Every new level of you is going to showcase another, and I mean that with love. That devil comes in a heart shape, but it is something that will hold you back from reaching more of your potential.
Mhm.
And that's really, yeah, that's all.
You gain the tools by just taking that first step and taking this growth journey or just being uh, humbled and open to it. Like you said,
Mhm.
navigating it, even though the onion is like there's just always another layer underneath, but there's so much, it gets less painful because it doesn't last for years anymore or
No.
even months or weeks. It's like hours or days. Um, so it's worth it.
Oh, I don't want to really swear, but it is so worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So since you and I were in this beautiful masterclass with Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins and many other outstanding individuals that are leaders and thought leaders, I would say. Um, I was inspired by sharing this message, and it's something that I think we have talked prior to, not on this podcast, but you and I, why serving or selling equals serving. And actually, let's turn this around. When we get into a state of service and coming from a place of service only, selling becomes second nature. So if you're hung up in any kind of way around selling and it's bad, and if you listen to last week's episode, we kind of took that apart a little bit. Um, Turn it into you serving others, and you're actually doing somebody else a disservice if you are not selling what you have to offer. And that still feels like, okay, I said it out loud. Okay, so here's the thing. When we look at the arts, when we look just at you and myself and at our career, let's really take it down to the very lowest denominator, what we can all relate to. Um, I never thought of myself as producing art or dancing or getting on point or any kind of these things as a service to others. I didn't know that. What? Me? Well, what do you mean? Serving others. What is that? What does it actually mean? Like, am I making a difference in somebody else's life? I have something to offer. Um, and that's why I would say there was so much friction. There were so many stories. There's so much lack that when you like look at the bigger picture, I I don't even remember ever a ballet company or a performing arts community saying, we are here to serve you. If you look at, I love your face. Look at mission statements, and it's all about enrichment of the human spirit. And what does that mean? Like, where does that come from? Are we just platonically just putting that out there because everybody else is doing that? Or what is your place? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why do you put yourself through the daily grind? And that grind isn't fun at times. Why are you still doing it? Are you doing it for you so you can shine, so you can feel better for like 2 hours while standing in the spotlight, so you can feel better because other people are coming to you and saying, oh, you're so beautiful?
Why are you doing it? Or are you doing it because you want to make a difference in the world? And performing arts does offer a high value. It changes emotional states in people. It gives them the possibility to have access to something that you don't have access to during your daily grind. It takes them out of their bowl of soup and puts them into a light that they've never seen before. Theater is magic
Yeah.
in what in whatever possible way you're ingesting it.
Yeah.
And who are we standing backstage bitching about, that person having the role and not me, or being nervous about getting on stage? Because here's something. My husband and I were on a walk, and I was talking about the service mentality. And I said, you know what? When I was in Portland, I didn't know. I didn't even know who I was dancing for. The audience didn't even matter. I was so afraid to go on stage because the only person I danced for was the artistic director and the ballet master.
Mm.
I wanted to please them so I wouldn't get in trouble for not finishing a double pirouette. Right. That was my purpose. And that's where I completely broke down, because that's not your purpose. That's not who you're serving, right? But we've gone to that point so much that we're serving either our ego or the ego of the directors and the people in the wings. And that's it. And with that, we're not creating something that serves the people actually sitting in the audience. And that's where the disconnect happens. This is why we're chasing money. This is why we're not creating memorable events and emotions, because we're not serving anybody but ourselves.
My eye is twitching, which is like it's like an old I just got like zapped back to a specific memory, and it like I clearly am still holding energy in my body from it, because I used to my anxiety used to be so bad. I would my eye would twitch like every single day for like hours. Like some days would be like I can barely see out of my eye, because that was like my anxiety. But that what you just said is like it was either two settings. I was either dancing for myself or dancing for the choreographer, the artistic director, whoever it was, as a validation. And I remember like that's why I can like embody it right now. I would just feel the pressure that, it was self-inflicted, but that I put on myself before I went out on stage, so then the next show I could have a bigger role or a better role or the same status type of role. Gosh, it was never in service. When I feel into the energy that I'm feeling right now, it wasn't for me. It was never in service because I was doing it. So I felt good about myself.
So we would be seen. So we would get the next promotion. So we would get the accolation from, I don't know, people in the wings, the
Yes.
people that were watching, right?
This concept, exiting the dance world and entering entrepreneurship, for me, this was a very hard energy to break through for me, because I knew how to come about things with the energy of what's in it for me, not in an energy of I'm interacting with this person or I'm creating this or I'm showing up in this. How can I serve? What is the value I'm bringing? I never thought about value because I actually, well, here, my ego or my energy was so low, I didn't really believe I had value to bring. And so that wasn't even in the equation.
And I think that's one of the roots that you just so beautiful dove into. And I'm so glad we're taking this time to like really unearth the threat here. you not knowing your own value, and with you, I mean all the listeners and whoever you're referring this podcast to. Oh, honey, I'm sorry. I just really
No,
screwed you up.
I'm just trying to breathe it out.
Yeah.
I'm just one of my tools. That's all.
Love it. Not knowing our value is doing others a disservice because we're at that moment, we're coming from a place of not enoughness. That not enoughness is a place of fear, of actual survival, where when we're really like honest, that every fear that we're having goes down to that fear of survival, of not being loved, not being enough. All of that is the fear of pure survival. That's just the fight or flight in our brain, right? And just being aware of that, and understanding what it is capable to create in your life, if you don't know the tools, and knowing how to circumvent
Mm,
and move yourself through it, and that you actually have the choice.
yeah.
You have at any given point the choice to rewrite, to rethink, to reframe, to relearn. It just takes such a adjust. It takes a high level of awareness.
Yeah.
You can at any given point make yourself feel better. You just have to choose to do so, right?
Yeah.
So, and how does that translate into serving? So I think as soon as people actually, and maybe let's go that far. I don't think that the arts actually feel worthy of existence.
Mm,
So, and here's why I'm saying that. It's because they're depending on the higher forces of survival, right? Like if people don't give them money, there is no art.
yeah.
So we're consistently in a state of survival.
Mhm.
We have yet to gain own independency, taking our power back. And it is so deeply dug into the operation and the thinking and the beliefs of companies like that,
Mhm.
that gosh, of course it trickles down to everybody. Of
Yeah.
course people think that the more they can hurt themselves, the more they can be the victim and live in that lack mentality, the better they're going to be and the better they're going to serve. And it really just takes the awareness of flipping that thought, and everybody has the power to do so. It's not, remember, Dean, it's not about the how. The
Yeah.
how will literally present itself. You need to know your why and your what. And don't, and I hope I quoted this right, but that's really what I remember him saying. Know your why, know what you're gonna do, the how will present itself.
Yeah.
And if we go back to, let's just say, performing arts, if I would have actually known what my why was, and if I remembered it every day and what I was here to do, the how, and for me to go through all of these painful, it would have been so much easier and so much more rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow. Okay. So
Ah,
ladies and gentlemen, this is
yeah. No, this whole topic, when you emailed me about this, I was like, this is fantastic. I was inspired from last week, but this topic is just so very new for me. Because it's even been creepy in my own onion with this, thinking that I was in an energy of, I had flipped to an energy of service when it was still based on a survival energy, though, underlying, without me really pinpointing it. And um the arts, and really all of our society, is in that survival mode, and that's, we're all coming from that perspective of, there's collective lack energy everywhere. And
Yeah.
we're all living through fear of literally when we break it all down, it's down to survival. That is the very core word. Um, so part of it for me has been finding a place where I feel enough. I feel enough to see that I have the value, and I feel enough where I don't have to be clawing for survival. I am enough. I know that I will be taken care of. I know that I have value. I know, but that's comes from like deep self-love work that I didn't feel. So this whole thing of servitude really comes down to each individual finding the fulfillment in them and filling their cup to be able to show up in a capacity that is not in that survival mode. And like you said, the way the arts are structured right now, being very dictated by um, grants and donations and things like that, it's it's hard. Well, I shouldn't say it's hard. A lot of it is not coming from the perspective of, being proud about the products that they're serving. It's oh my goodness, if we don't have this, we don't have a season. And that energy's, yes, that energy is very heavy and it's very scary. And to operate in that, no matter what capacity it is, we all are in a little bit of capacity, I believe, most of us. Um, there's that eye twitchy, eye twitchy energy that I felt. That's what it feels like. It feels like there's not room to serve because we just trying to get by.
I love it. There is no room to serve. We're not creating room to serve. I
Mm.
remember listening to Rob Murgatroyd, and he's like, leave room for the magic. I'm
Mm.
like, huh? What do you mean? What do you mean leave room for the magic? You gotta leave room for breath and for something to happen. And maybe in the beginning it won't, because we're still so hanging on to the control. He said it so beautifully. He was asked, do you leave room for magic? And he's like, yeah, sure, as long as I know the magic will appear at 8:30 p.m. every night, I leave room for it. But that's the first step, though, right? To like, we are the arts, and when I say we, our old
Yeah.
artists
Yeah.
hang on to that control, like with like the nails deep down into the plaster, into the point shoes or whatever, into your costumes, that there is no room for magic to happen. You're not breathing, you're not coming from a place of love. And that's where I see the opportunity.
Yeah.
And it seems, to me, it seems so easy. Like, what would it look like if you were just to switch and come from a place of love? Like, every time, every day, every second you speak, you make a decision, you interact with your people, you would ask yourself the question, what would love do? Well, love certainly would not sit in front of a studio and shout at their dancers. Love certainly wouldn't just make decisions without actually talking to their people.
Mhm.
Love wouldn't make them work 12 hours just so they can say, hey, you need to work 12 hours because you're getting paid for that.
Mhm.
Love certainly would not tell them that you can't work anywhere else.
Mhm.
Love certainly would not hang on to their donors like, I don't know, for survival. No, love would build community. Love would collaborate with everything out there. Love would look everywhere for resources.
Mhm.
And that's where it's so easy. It's so easy. But yet we're choosing not to.
Because I feel if you don't have if you don't really have love inside for yourself, do you feel like there could be any love radiated?
And I'm dropping the mic on this.
Yeah.
Amen.
Wait, okay, I'm gonna not go on a completely irrelevant tangent, but it does have something to do with this, and I am gonna make a video about it because I was flabbergasted yesterday. I was looking for relative terms to self-love.
Mhm.
And I happened to go on dictionary.com under the word self-love. And then I dropped down words related to self-love: narcissism, vanity, and something else that were like as terrible. And then I looked up the definitions to all of them because I showed my husband. I said, this is atrocious, that this is the defining categories of self-love. And every single one was, vain, excessive about appearance, excessive about achievements, this and that. And I said, whoa, I'm going to make a video and I might go off. It's like,
Yeah,
I waited yesterday because I was too heated. I said, okay, maybe tomorrow. Self-love, loving yourself, is not arrogant. It is not narcissistic. It is not, oh my goodness. That's the reason there is this heavy energy in this world, is because we don't love ourselves. And so we're always seeking external validations, or we're, like you're saying, somebody who yells at a group of people isn't happy inside. I wouldn't enter a room and start screaming at people with this resting state I feel now. So us doing work on ourselves and shedding things that don't serve us anymore, so we fill our cups more and find the love, makes us be able to radiate that love, because we won't be able to radiate and operate in the way that you were saying if we don't. And I'm like, I can't even find the words that a dictionary website would define self-love in such a horrendous way. Because if anybody looked up that word, they would go, well, I don't want to have self-love because I'm not a narcissist. I'm not vain. I don't want to be arrogant. How dare they? How dare they? That is what we need. It starts with ourselves. We can only radiate out what is in us. So if everybody's operating from lack or jealousy or comparison or feeling not enough, that is the only thing that's going to be able to come out of us. Okay, rant over.
Oh, I freaking love it. I see a TED talk coming
Yeah.
up here. No, seriously. So let's, oh wow, this is going to be a long episode, y'all. Isn't that though the reason why we're seeing, and let's zoom it back into the arts, because the term self-love and taking care of yourself has been diminished, almost like, don't do that because then you're not successful. Don't do that because you might be feeling good, and when you feel good, you are not going to be thriving. And that just came all the way from the top and down. Suffer in order to be seen. Use the suffering
Mhm.
over shining your brightest light, because
Mhm.
with suffering you will get how do you say, compassion, or somebody holding you and giving you pity, versus when you shine your brightest light, somebody could point a finger at you and say, no, 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 not that.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I'm glad we solved the world's problem. Totally did today. Listen, let's wrap it up, and let's say once again that everything, literally every single thing in this world, really truly starts with us. And it starts with understanding who we are, how special every single one of us is, regardless to what anybody ever says to you. Um, Truly understanding that self-love is where it starts, and knowing your value. And then you can start serving. When you know how to replenish all of your sparks and shiny stars, so that they don't, dim out, how to feed that on a regular basis, then you will be able to give and give and give more, because you're tapping into a new version of yourself that is so much more powerful than you ever thought of yourself you could be.
Yeah, you said it. I'm gonna leave it at that. I went on my rant.
That
That's
was good.
everything that we talk about comes down to just radical responsibility of ourselves. And we can make the decision if we want to believe what people say about us, or if we want to define ourselves in the way we feel we want to define ourselves.
And that also ties the bow, because we do talk about money here. If you don't love yourself, if you don't know your value, how are you going to ask for an equal energy exchange? And if you're not receiving that equal energy exchange, then you will always feel like you're depleted, meaning you're giving more than you're receiving. And it's not coming from a selfish perspective. It's coming from like that exchange. It almost, it just creates itself. And you will know if it's not in the right place or it doesn't feel right. You will then react in from a place of love and being able to say, hey, this doesn't quite feel right. I know that 2 months in, I will feel these certain emotions. And when I feel these certain emotions, I will not be showing up as my highest self. And therefore, here is what I know I need to ask for. And that's it. We don't need to make any big drama around it. We don't need to judge ourselves that, oh, this is too much. I can't do it because nobody's gonna, ever pay me this. That's all bullshit. Let that go.
Yeah.
Because really, it's not serving anybody. It's serving your ego. It's serving you and staying small. And if that's what you're after, then go right ahead. But if you want to stand in the spotlight one day, you got to step into it by serving others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Okay, the both side. Well, thanks guys for listening. I really truly feel we have solved the world's problem today, right here, right now. It would be so fantastic if you could share your biggest takeaway on social media, tag Christy and tag myself. Go follow Miss Christy because she has some exciting new things coming up. And yeah, DM us with what else you want us to talk about.
Yeah.
Because we could come up with a lot of stuff, but if it's not serving you guys, then what are we doing it for, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. And next week I'll be in Charleston and we're gonna talk a little bit more Southern with our iced tea. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Mwah. Till next time.
Thank you so much for listening. If this message resonates with you, please pass it on to someone who needs to hear this right now. And if you like what you've heard, your feedback will go a very long way. If you just take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review, that would mean the world to me. Till next time, point at yourself to rise to all that you are capable of.